One other topic that President Trump is heard downplaying on those Woodward tapes is his white privilege. Nearly 3 months ago, at the height of racial unrest sweeping the country following several killings of unarmed black men and women, Bob Woodward asked the president if he felt that he has benefited from white privilege, and the president outright dismissed that idea.
But let me ask you this. I mean, we share one thing in common. We're white, privileged, my father was a lawyer and a judge in Illinois, and we know what your dad did. And do you have any sense that that privilege has isolated and put you in a cave to a certain extent, as it put me and I think lots of white privileged people in a cave, and that we have to work our way out of it to understand the anger and the pain particularly black people feel in this country?
No, you really drank the Kool-Aid, didn't you? Listen to you. Wow. No, I don't feel that at all.
Glenn Harris is the president of the racial justice nonprofit organization Race Forward, and he's the publisher of Color Lines. Glenn, thank you so much for coming on to talk about this. What's your response to what you heard?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. My response is that the overwhelming majority of Americans acknowledge that being white is an advantage in the country. My response is to both this part of his conversation and a broader part of the conversation about the pandemic, that Americans are tougher than this. Americans can have honest conversations about the pandemic, and Americans can have honest conversations about race. And in my 30 years of doing this work, that has always been the truth. People want to have discussions. They want to have honest discussions. And the only way we're getting to the kind of just multiracial democratic society that we all want is through that path.
The president, as you know, Glenn, also shared that he thought there is less systemic racism in the U.S. compared to other places. I want to listen to that part.
Do you think there is systematic or institutional racism in this country?
Well, I think there is everywhere. I think probably less here than most places, or less here than many places.
Okay, but is it here in a way that it has an impact on people's lives?
I think it is, and it's unfortunate, but I think it is.
You know, on one hand, he almost seems to contradict himself a little bit there, acknowledging that it exists. But it seems to be he's really minimizing it, that he's grossly underestimating the intensity and the impact of it.
It's no question. The president has been repeatedly trying to attack our ability to have honest, open discussions about race in America. And there's no question that at the core, that COVID, the pandemic, has laid bare the realities of how racial inequity is playing in our society for Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities. The reality of the murder of George Floyd has made it completely clear about how systemic racism plays in our policing systems. And the reality of the economic collapse we're currently in is playing out in disproportionate ways, again, for communities of color. So we're in a moment where you can't deny it's up front center in our face about the realities of systemic inequity based on race in the United States. And simultaneously, the president continues to push for shutting down actually having those conversations. And if we're being honest, actually seemingly to promote violence over the need for discussion. And, you know, at the core for us in our work on racial justice, we're really clear that the only path forward for us as a country to a just multiracial democratic society is us finding better ways to have these discussions and the ability to name it, to be honest about how we got here, our history, and its current manifestations in our lives.
When you talk to someone who maybe doesn't understand what white privilege is or what privilege is, how do you get through to them to show them that trickle-down effect over years and over generations to explain it?
Yeah, you know, I think it's It's about acknowledging the way in which our systems were constructed that create advantage based on race in America. And again, I think the piece that is in doing the work becomes really clear is that the majority of Americans actually see that and understand that. And I think the right question isn't what is it, but what do we do with it? What do we do with the moment we're in? And that is what I think is so exciting about what we've seen over the course of the summer, this movement towards racial justice, this movement towards having more honest discussions that would allow us to talk about how we take our history, acknowledge it, think about repair, and move forward to the kind of country that we all know we deserve.
Glenn, thank you so much. Glenn Harris, it's great to see you.
Thank you so much.
Minutes from now, President Trump will be holding a news conference. You're looking at live pictures there coming to us from the White House.